You learned how to reverse a string. Now let's look at a slightly more complex problem. We want to reverse the words in a sentence. For example, if you have a sentence like trees are beautiful, our reverse method should return beautiful are trees with a capital T. So we want to use the exact same capitalization, but we want to change the order of words. We want to reverse the order, okay? So let's add a new method, public static string. We call it reverse words and give it a string. We can call this sentence. Now, the first thing we want to do here is to split the sentence into individual words. We can do that using the split method. So sentence.split, we want to split by a white space, okay? Now look at the return type of this method. So it returns a string array. So we store the result in a string array called words. That's better. Now there are a few different things we can do here. We can add these words to a stack and then pop them all. They will come out in reverse order. So we can build a new string using those. Another approach is to iterate over this array from the end, exactly like what we did in the previous video. I prefer this approach because we don't need a stack and our code will be shorter. So first, let's declare a string builder object. We call it reversed and set it to a new string builder. Then we iterate over our array. So we set it to words.length -1. As long as I is greater than or equal to 0, we decrement it. Now here we call reversed.append. We pass the current word and a white space. So we get words of I, and then we add a white space. So these words are separated, okay? Now, after we add the last word, we're going to have an extra white space at the end. So we should trim the string before returning it. So here we call reversed.toString, and then trim it. This will remove the extra white space around a string. Then we will return the result to the caller. Now, there's also another approach to solve this problem. Instead of iterating over this array, appending each word plus a white space and then trimming it at the end, we can reverse the words array and then join all these words using one of the built-in methods in Java. Let me show you. So temporarily, I'm going to comment out these few lines to show you the other implementation. So we have the words array. Now in Java, we can reverse an array using the collections class. So this class is a utility class. It's declared in java.util package. It has a static method called reverse, which gets an object that implements the list interface. So if you pass our words array, we get a compilation error because this is a regular array in Java and not a list object. If you had an array list, let's say X, then we wouldn't have any problems. We could simply pass that array list here. So we need to convert this array into an array list. And that is super easy. We have another utility class in Java called arrays. Just like we have collections, we also have arrays in this package. Now this class has a static method called asList. We can use this to convert an array into an array list. So we pass our words array here. So we reverse the items in our words array. And then we use string.join to join all these items or all these words using a white space. So the first argument here is the delimiter. We use a white space as a delimiter. And then we pass our words array. So this method will combine all the items in this array using this delimiter and return a string. So we can simply return that string over here. So with this implementation, we don't have to worry about an extra trimming. I find this implementation cleaner and more elegant. Now let's test it. So back in the main class, let's call reverse words and pass a string like trees are beautiful. Now, as part of printing this, I would like to add single quotes around this string. I want to see what happens with the white spaces. We'll get there shortly. Let's run our program. So we get beautiful are trees. The first test case is passing. Now, what if we have an extra white space at the end? We get the same result as before. What if we have a couple of white spaces at the beginning? All right, we get this extra white spaces here. We should get rid of those. So back to the string utils class. Before we split the sentence into multiple words, we want to trim it. We want to get rid of any extra white space at the beginning or at the end of the string. Now let's run the program one more time. There you go. That's better. Now, what if we have a single word? Let's say trees. We get the same word. What if we have a string with a bunch of white spaces? We get an empty string, beautiful. What if we pass an empty string? We get the same result. What if we pass null? We get a null pointer exception. So let's fix this real quick. We check to see if sentence is null. Then we return an empty string. The problem is solved. So this is how we reverse words in a string.